Hi everyone. Before you get started with your problem set, I wanted to give you a quick introduction to what we are learning about today. So today we are adding and subtracting up to 100. But today is going to be a little bit trickier because we're going to be writing equations and we want to describe numbers as tens and ones to help us find a total. All right, so the first thing I'm going to show you how to do is write an equation if you have a picture. So here I drew a picture for us, and we're going to write an equation to find the total. So we have one quantity over here and another quantity over here. So we're going to have two numbers that we add up. Let's figure out what those numbers are. So I'm going to start with this one over here. And I'm going to start by counting the tens. It looks like we have 3 tens. So I'm going to write that down. So I have 3 tens in this number. Now I'm going to count the ones, but it looks like we don't have any ones. So I'm going to put 0 ones. So over here on this side we have 30. Now I'm going to go over to the other side and count how many are over here, starting with the tens. It looks like we have 2 tens. So I'm going to write 2 tens. We also have 2 ones. So I'm going to write 2 ones. So we have 30 on this side and 22 on this side. Now I'm going to try to find the total. And when I count the total, it's going to be important to start with the ones. Let me say that again. It's going to be important to start with the ones when I'm counting my total, because when you get to upper grades, you're going to want to count the ones first in case you need to regroup. But you don't want to worry about that yet. Just remember, when you're counting the total, start with the ones. So let's do that. If we look at our picture, I notice I have 2 ones. And I'm going to leave a little space for the tens. Now let's count the tens. We've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So we have 5 tens. And I found my total. I'm going to read the whole thing, my entire equation. We've got 30 plus 22 equals my total, 52. See that? Let's look at another example. All right, here's another example. We're going to look at the picture and try to write an equation. Here's my picture. So I have one quantity over here and another quantity over here. Let's figure out what numbers go with these quantities. I'm going to start with this one, starting with the tens. Looks like I have 1, 2, 3 tens. And now the ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ones. So it looks like over here we have 35. Plus, now I'm going to look at this quantity over here, starting with the tens. Looks like I have 1 10. And up. I don't have any ones, so I'm going to put 0 ones. So far we have 35 plus 10 equals, now I want to find the total. Remember what I just told you. We're going to start with the ones when we're trying to find the total. Now the reason why we do that is because in upper grades, when you're counting the ones, you might have to regroup. But we don't want to worry about that yet. The only thing you need to remember is when you're finding the total, start with the ones. So let's look at the whole picture and count the ones first. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over here, and none over here, so we have 5 ones. And I left a little space for my tens, because that's what we're going to count next. Now we look back at our picture, oops, and I'm going to count the tens. 10, 20, 30, 40. So it looks like I have 1, 2, 3, 4 tens in my total. Now let's read the whole thing. 35 plus 10 equals, our total is 45. All right, ready for one more example? Let's write an equation for this one. So we've got one quantity over here and one quantity over here. We got to figure out numbers to go with these first. So let's start with this one. If I look over here, starting with the tens, it looks like I only have 1 10. And let's count the ones. 1, 2, 3 ones. So over here, I have 13. Plus, let's look at the other side. I've got 1 10 And let's count the ones. 1, 2, 3, 4 ones. All right, so far we have 13 plus 14 equals. Now I want to find the total. Remember, when I'm counting my total, I start with the ones. So let's start with the ones when we're counting our total. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we've got 7 ones. And notice I left a little space again for my tens. We have 7 ones. Now let's count our tens. We've got 1, 2, 10, 20. So it looks like we have 2 tens. Let's read what we have. 13 plus 14 equals our total 27. You got that? Now we know how to write an equation when we have a picture, but what if we see the opposite, where we start with the equation and we have to draw a picture to find the total? Well, now I'm going to show you how to do that. So here we have an equation. We've got 30 plus 15 equals, and I want to find the total. Now the way I'm going to do that is by drawing a picture. I'm going to start with the number 30 and start with the tens. So it looks like we have 3 tens. I'm going to draw 1, 2, 3 tens. And how many ones? 0. So I'm not going to draw any ones. Now I'm going to go over here to 15. Looks like 15 has 1 10, so I'm going to draw a 10. And 5 ones, so I'm going to draw 5 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now what I can do is count everything in my picture to find the total. So let's do that. Starting with the ones. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ones. So I'm going to write 5 ones and leave a space for my tens because that's what we're going to count next. Let's count the tens. 10, 20, 30, 40. So I've got 4 tens and 5 ones. That makes my total 45. So we've got 30 plus 15 equals 45. Let's look at one more example. All right, so again, we're going to see an equation and we're going to draw a picture to help us find the total. Here we have 22 plus 14 equals, and I want to find the total over here. I'm going to do that by drawing a picture. Let's start with the number 22. We're going to draw a picture of the number 22. Starting with the tens, it looks like I have 2 tens and 2 ones. 1, 2. So now I have 22. Let's go over to this number, 14. It looks like we have 1 10. So I'm going to draw 1 10 and 4 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now we're going to count everything in our picture to find the total. And we're going to start with the ones. Again, when you get to upper grades, you might have to regroup with the ones. So we want to start with the ones when we're counting our total. Let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I did it backwards, but that's okay. So we've got 6 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 ones, and I leave a little space for my tens. Now let's count the tens. 10, 20, 30. Looks like I have 3 tens. So we've got 3 tens and 6 ones. So our total is 36. If we read the whole thing, it says 22 plus 14 equals 36. All right, I think that's enough to get started with your problem set today. So good luck.